there was always a discomfort that I felt that regardless of the country, of the sector, was always present. And I realized that was the fact that I couldn't find people like me. I would always get into those spaces, look around and say, why do I always feel like I'm the only different person here, you know? And that made me realize, okay, something is really wrong in here. What I feel, it's actually a reflection of something bigger, a social problem.
Dedicated to the underrepresented professionals in the job market, Color at Work emerges as a safe space for sharing, empowering, and strengthening the experiences of individuals who contribute to the diversity of talents and existing potential in the workplace. My name is Sofia Medina Andrade, and I believe in the effectiveness of diversity and inclusion in achieving a more dignified and fair working world. Welcome to the space.
I think it's better now. Yeah.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, community. Welcome to Color at Work. Today, with a special episode, I will be switching roles.
What an honor.
As you already know, I have here a special guest with me. But today, I will be actually doing something different because you are mostly used to see me as the host, asking questions, introducing people, but always in a very comfortable way in which I don't reveal much about myself. And you've been wondering, who is the host? Who is Sofia? So today, I'm here to actually be in the uncomfortable position of replying questions and allowing you guys to know a bit more about the podcast and why I decided to do this. So I thought that no one better than someone that already knows me. It's a friend, also a great professional, and a podcast hoster as well. Yes, he hosts the podcast Circular Talent. If you don't know yet, my advice is for you to go and check and also subscribe and follow and support because, you know, we are people that really are engaged with causes and this is a great one. So I won't tell much just to spark your curiosity, but I would say go and check. With no further ado, I just say hi, Nicolas.
Hi, Sofia.
Very welcome and thank you for doing this with me.
No, thanks for having me. Actually, today it's me who are going to have you in your own podcast. So I'll be taking over you and your space here. It's an honor for me and comes with a lot of responsibility. But I'm happy and hope we can have a great conversation together.
I'm pretty sure. I talk to him all the time, so I'm pretty sure it will be fine.
So, Sofia, I know that it's sometimes uncomfortable to talk about ourselves being in the spotlight. You are so used to be interviewing people and asking questions. But I want to represent all the community that listens to your podcast. So I want to start by asking you how and where come the idea to start this podcast, Color at Work. Tell us. I'm pretty sure you have lots of motivations, personal, social motivations, but tell us what made you start this project?
It's a good question, and I will try to be concise because I tend to talk a lot.
But that's great. So we want to hear your stories today.
I think I always wanted to have this space in which all the conversations that I find that we usually have behind doors should be more visible. But I didn't know about what, actually. And the idea of having a podcast was here, cooking for a while. And then I am someone that likes working a lot. And throughout my work, I can get to some realizations about all aspects of life. And I went through some situations at work that were quite challenging, I would say. And fortunately, I had the chance to work in different sectors, in different countries. But there was always a discomfort that I felt that regardless of the country, of the sector, was always present. And I realized that was the fact that I couldn't find people like me. I would always get into those spaces, look around and say, okay, why do I always feel like I'm the only different person here, you know? And then I started to become more aware and try to dig in a bit more when it comes to my identity. And that made me realize, okay, something is really wrong in here. What I feel, it's actually a reflection of something bigger, a social problem. That is the fact that we go to these spaces and we don't find representativity, we don't find diversity, we always see the same type of profiles, and it seems that this type of journey is only for a certain type of profile, certain type of people. And I didn't like that. And then it came the question, am I the only one feeling like this? Because imagine I would find maybe one colleague that was from a different nationality or background that was more similar to myself, but we would never touch these topics. It seems like it was also the forbidden topic. And I started to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm going through this because I went through challenging situations regarding discrimination at work. It was quite tough. And since it was during the period that I was exploring my identity, my roots, what the story of people like me actually meant, it touched me a lot. I was really, really concerned. I was disturbed in a way. And then I started to reach out to former colleagues and saying, hey, I know that we worked in the same space, maybe not in the same team, but we would cross paths once in a while, and I'm going through this. And then people would say, oh yeah, I've been through this as well. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, so why we never spoke about it? Why don't we speak more about these topics? And then I think it was the time that I said, okay, I know that it's not only me, so it's time to create this podcast. And then also throughout my working experience, I realized that I had a big interest in human resources. I decided also to make a change by the time I was working in communications. And I just said, no, it's time to make a change, but human resources, which part? Of course, the first thing that came to my mind was diversity and inclusion, but I know how it works in the workplace. That is an agenda always. You have to follow certain types of policies, and I didn't want to do that. So I decided to make a change, go back to school, did a post-graduation in human resources, had a subject that was more connected to recruitment, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Because I find that recruitment is actually the part that can actually open the doors for diversity and inclusion and help to break some barriers for people that are different from the norm, if we can say in this way. And I think that's how it started.
Yeah, so it started actually in the workplace, and it's just how important the place where we work and the work we have also determines the impact that we can have in society. And do you think that it's exactly the environment that triggered this interest, or it was something that was also in other spaces rather than the workplace?
I think it was in other spaces, but in somehow was always related. It started in school. For instance, going to school and seeing that in the beginning, you find a lot of diversity, but then once you start advancing in school, you start losing it.
Yeah.
And then you go, especially in university, I was just like, okay, I had the dream of being a reporter because I did communications just like you. But then I wouldn't see that many Black women as reporters. And then when we got to the point of choosing which part of communications we wanted to follow, if it was more like television, radio, writing, I could not see myself in front of the camera. And then I realized that I couldn't, because I couldn't see that also once I was watching the news. That's what I understood. So it starts before, but of course the workplace, it's the place that I felt that it hit more, that triggered more, because it's the place where we spend most of our days, our time. And it's always in a place that you feel that you are different, that you don't belong. Also, you hear some comments, you feel that you're not really appropriated because my hair is different. Some places that I worked had dress code, and I was just like, yeah, but does this dress code matches with my hair? Even when I didn't think about it, I would see people looking at me and looking at my hair like with a really bad face, like something was wrong. And slight comments, sometimes you go to the office and someone runs to you and thinks that you are the cleaning lady, even though you are with the dress code that everyone has. And I'm like, why are they asking these questions to me and not to other colleagues? Slight comments, slight things that time over time start to undermine your confidence. Even if you belong there, you start questioning yourself.
Yeah. And here I have many other questions and I want to follow with this. But just to give a context to who is listening to us, because you mentioned that you have a background in communication, but also in international relations, right? And human resources. Just to give a brief explanation to who is listening to us, that's more or less how we met and we got connected because we have very similar backgrounds. But tell us, Sofia, what was your background and how you also started observing in each of these areas and how these areas in your background combine together, bring you today to where you are and to this project that you're carrying on?
That's a good question. And I think people also find it quite weird when they see my CV or they go to my LinkedIn. Because yes, I started in communications, as you, with the intention of following journalism. Then I did an exchange program in Brazil. And there I had like a subject of political communication. And that subject, I was so excited about it. And I was just like, wow, this is so interesting. But I was in my last year of my graduation. And then I was just like, okay, I don't want to do journalism. I actually want to do something different. And I find that there is more meaning in following something related to politics, but I didn't want to go to politics itself. So that led me to international relations. So once I came back to Portugal, I decided, okay, I will finish my degree. I just had one semester to finish. I did it. And then I was like, the master's, I will focus on international relations and I will try to combine the two. And with that, I did my thesis to prove actually that was possible to combine both areas. With this came the opportunity to do an internship in Brussels, in the UN. And then once I arrived there, I was like, okay, there is the possibility of actually matching both areas. And then I did a bit of everything. I worked in a communication departments for the UN as an intern, Human Rights Watch as well. Then I saw that human rights were something that was really connected to me because even in college, everything that I would try to do was more connected to activism. And there I found, okay, I can do this type of things. And then I stayed in Brussels for 3 years. I decided then that, okay, even though I was enjoying, I even did like events management. Then I realized, okay, maybe it's time for a change for myself. And always going to the field was something that I really wanted. And I decided to come back to Portugal to organize my thoughts. And then I went to Mozambique, where I did also some voluntary work. And there was also related to a strong cause as violence against women. And that was too strong for me, to be quite honest. I thought that I could handle, but was too strong. And then when I decided, okay, it's time to settle down, maybe I'll go to Portugal. And there it came the opportunity to work in the communication department, but this time for a consultancy firm. So I worked for Ernst & Young for 2 years. And there actually was where I could get like a glimpse of what the human resources work is. Because I was working in a project, like a social project, and was very connected to social corporate responsibility. And that, in a way, without noticing, I was getting more and more interest in human resources, bringing topics more related to it, to the meetings that we would have for ideas. And my boss was always telling me, this is not HR, Sofia. This is not HR. We are the communication department. And I was like, why am I always thinking about that?
HR, right?
Exactly. So the pandemic came. I experienced lots of challenges with the remote work when it comes especially, with some causes of, I would say, discrimination. I was trying to find a better word, but it is what it is. And that made me want to have a break. And then I was like, okay, I will change. I was always afraid of this because I've changed a lot, whether of countries or jobs or like sectors. But I was like, this is what I want to do. That's when I decided to go to human resources. And here we are, both of us in recruitment.
Yeah, we are both recruiters. Just to give context, we are both working in talent acquisition. And with that comes the question, like, how do you think recruitment and talent acquisition in general contributes to diversity in the workspace? What is our role in building diversity, in building diverse teams, and making workplaces more diverse?
That's the thing. I really believe in the power of recruitment to bring more diverse talent to the workspaces. And the reason why is because we know that biases is everywhere. And I always also, as a job seeker, I also encountered a lot of bias. I remember that I was just like, should I wear my hair natural in the picture? Should I use picture or not? Should I wear my hair with braids, or should I strengthen my hair? I actually got a time that I strengthened my hair, thinking that I would be more accepted in the workplace. And I know that I've also heard a lot of stories of people saying, I know that if I put my surname, that people will notice that I'm a Muslim, and this can be problematic for me. So this was a reality that for me was always very close. I always knew that through recruitment, we could actually impact people's lives for the worse or the better. Then I thought, since I don't want to work directly with diversity and inclusion, like diversity and inclusion officer, because of what I said, the policies and the agenda, it's just like, maybe it's a way to fight the system.
And to put in practice in some way, right? And like building teams that are diverse.
Exactly, but also break the biases of the managers, because we work directly with them. So sometimes we hear comments like, oh no, I don't want foreigners. But instead of going through that, maybe we can say, wait, this person, removing the nationality, removing the background, this person actually has the skills that you are searching for. And then I believe that we facilitate the conversation between candidates and managers. And in this way, we create a safe space for candidates to show their potential, not as the person from this nationality or this gender or this sexual orientation, but as the professional, as the person that has the skills and that can help the company actually fulfill their goal. So I noticed this a lot. I've seen like people like complaining because, oh, but he arrived in Portugal like 2 months ago. He doesn't know anything about the culture, but he knows about the business that you are building. Yeah. And then when we facilitate this, we don't need to say in their face, you need diversity, but just giving them the chance, just presenting them the candidates. And sometimes I came across situations in which they were frustrated because they couldn't find the candidates, they couldn't. Then I'm like, actually, you might have a profile that it's good. Then when you see it's maybe from a different nationality, but still, is the person good or not? And in this way, I think we do like the hands jobs, that we go little by little and we start actually, we bring one person, then we bring another one. And when they realize they are working with a diverse team, a team that can actually bring so much to the company, to the project. And I think that's the beauty.
I could be talking more about recruitment because it's our field, and like we could make this episode about recruitment, but it's about you. That's why I want to bring back another topic and ask you about our location. I think we can't be very detached to the place where we live, where we work, where we operate, where we do our lives. And you mentioned that you went through Portugal, to Brussels, to Mozambique. How do you see yourself today as a professional here in Portugal? Having this profession, having this role as talent acquisition specialist, but also carrying on a project like Color at Work?
I don't know if I actually stopped to think about it, but I think nowadays, if you ask me at the time being, I feel that as a professional, I see myself as someone more flexible and more strategic as well, because these type of topics are very close to my heart. Because I feel them, of course, I go through this. But nowadays, I feel that I'm a bit more mature as well, and someone that can deal better with my emotions and try to understand what is behind other people's reactions, especially for the managers. And I think this makes me someone more flexible, I would say, very strategic, but also with a purpose. My purpose is very clear. And as much as I can open doors and facilitate the type of interaction, I think that's what makes me or describes me as a professional. I don't know if I answered.
My idea was to think more about the context, because you also mentioned that you had some issues at work that made you think about like how you could create impact or how you could change this scenario. And I was wondering if it's something related to the place where you are, if it's something transversal to the environments that you have been through, and if it's something particular with Portugal, for example, where we are working today, or if it's more like an issue in the other places that you've been?
I think it's more transversal, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think every place or each the countries that I've worked have it in their own way, in a very particular way. But I think in all places, there is the bias. There is the tendency of just consider certain type of profiles, the good profiles to work. And the rest is like kind of like filtering people. You look in this way, so you are good for this profession. You look in this way, you are good for the corporate world, for instance. You are good for design, you are good for cleaning. And that's it. And there's no way of the person actually work hard and actually, or just simply has the talent to integrate certain spaces, certain workspaces. So I think regardless of the country, we have this. Some countries are more creative in the way of putting it, such as Portugal, for instance. I think that most of people have a very good image of the country and believe that here is very easy to enter any workspace as long as you have the CV, as long as you have the studies or the professional experience. But then once they arrive here, they see that it's not like this, actually. It's quite different. But I believe that it's the same also in Brussels. I believe that it's the same, not only in Brussels, I say Brussels because it was the city where I worked, but in Belgium, I believe also in other countries is a bit the same, unfortunately.
Yeah, I see. So, Sofia, this year, the end of this year, marks 3 years of Color at Work. I know it's hard to keep a podcast live for such a long time. And I want to ask you, do you remember the first episode that you had? How was it?
I do actually, because I was so nervous. I was just like, what am I doing? Because you start something that no one knows about it. And first of all, no one knows about you. So I started by inviting lots of people. And I have a friend, her name is Miriam, and she said, I accept to be part of the podcast, but I also think that you should invite this person and this person. And she gave me quite a big list and I was like, okay. So while she was telling me about the people, I was just like, she mentioned Ayana Birth, and I was just like, wow, the story that she's telling me, she seems so interesting. So I was really nervous and I was just like, maybe I'm aiming too high, but here I go. And I reached out. She was really impeccable. She was like, sure, let's do it. And I was so nervous. I was so nervous, I remember. And she's a journalist. She's someone that used to talk a lot. And I was just like, okay. I tried to prepare a lot, to do like lots of exercises with the voice because my voice is not that strong. And during the conversation, I was just like, how are you? She's like, I'm good, ready. But I remember that I had to block the mic because we did a virtual interview. I had to block the mic a couple of times just to do this. Because I was really
to
nervous.
Relax a bit, right?
Exactly. So I was really nervous, but I've learned a lot about her. And then I was just like, okay, get focused, because I was just like immersed in her speech. She was talking and I was just like, wow. But then I was like, focus. This is actually an interview. You have questions that you want to ask. But definitely I was extremely nervous, I remember.
Yeah. And how it has been the journey so far with Color at Work? Like, what's the satisfaction of producing this podcast brings to you at the end?
I really enjoy it. It's not easy, I will say, because I don't have the resources. I remember even when I started, I didn't know how to edit. I asked some people, I watched tutorials, I spent hours and hours trying. And it has been basically myself overcoming difficulties, because I was always like, I don't have the right space. I would like to have a different setting and all these things, but I kept going. And the satisfaction of getting to know people, getting to know their stories and understanding a bit better their journeys, and without noticing, I'm just like, okay, I really like doing it. It's just like, it's out of the question if I will stop or not. It's just like, I'm enjoying this, is helping me so much without even noticing, that I believe that it will be able to help someone that it's going through the same that I went through a couple of years ago. And it empowers me as well, because by hearing and getting to know the strength of the guests, in a way, it gives me strength to myself. So I just find, okay, it's beautiful. And the more research I do, the more people I get to know, the more I'm like, okay, these stories need to be told. These people are not alone, and they're not the only ones. I'm not the only one. We have a lot of people. And sometimes I think maybe someone that is going through college with a lot of dreams, we know how it is. When we go to college, we believe that we will be able to change the world, that the workplace is basically what they show in the TV shows, that is always perfect with lots of nice drama. And then we get to the working world itself, and we are hit. We are hit from all sides, and it's just like, this is not what I expected. But no one talks about it. So I think that by showing these stories, by bringing them to light, I can present role models, because we never know with whom people will identify with. So I can present some role models. I can create a space for network, because we always give the chance to leave the LinkedIn of the person. I ask the guests if someone wants to get in touch with you, how they can do it. So I believe that I create a space that gives visibility, but with purpose. It's not just to show the person, but to show to those that are starting the way, hey, you have here a group, you have a network, you have a space, you have people that can help you, or people that you can look up to. Also, I try to always have different guests from different industries, just to show also that people that come from the so-called minorities, they have the potential to do everything, and all industries can have us.
Is there any interview that was particularly interesting for you, or that was remarkable in some way that you can recall?
There is one, yes, that was very special, because I was going through something very hard at work. I was really struggling, because I'm always thinking, I'm always like reflecting, and then therapy helps a lot. And these matters of identity are also very sensitive. And while you are evolving and kind of maturing, you start seeing things in different ways, but also the outside judgment hits you in different ways. And I remember that was an interview, was actually, her name is Katya, and she talked about the power of language to create safe spaces, but also to discriminate. And I remember that I was really down. And after the interview, because the way that she spoke, it seems like she was speaking to what I was going through at the moment. And then when we finished the recording, I was telling her, wow. And it seems like she knew what I was going through. She cuddled me with her words in such a way that I started to cry. I just started to cry. And I told her, I feel like you are giving me the hug that I need, even though we are speaking in a virtual way. You are giving me that hug, that love that I needed. And she just said the right words, right length. And when I left, when we finished the recording completely, I was just like, wow, I got what I needed and I didn't even notice. So yeah, for sure. Without even noticing, these people, they helped me a lot.
Great, great. And Sofia, how the podcast is connected to your purpose in life, or how do you see, what is your purpose in life, by the way?
I think I have lots. I think I'm quite romantic, and I kind of believe that we all can, in a way, change the world. I know it's a very romantic way of seeing things, but I think that this is what feeds me. Without a purpose, I cannot do it. I cannot do things. And I believe that workspaces are for everyone. I truly believe that we have the choice to use our talent, our capacities in the way that we want. And I believe that everyone has this. It's not just some people that are clever and others not, that some are capable, others are not. I don't believe in that at all. And I believe that through recruitment, we can help to break those barriers. And that's why I'm so fascinated. But I also think that then with the podcast, it's kind of like a way of talking about diversity and inclusion in a different way. It's not by going to companies and giving like a speech or a workshop or training that I believe that it's very important. It is. But I think this is a support to just give a different perspective. It's just allowing people to talk about their experiences, their views on this topic, because diversity and inclusion is not just for one type of person, it's for everyone, it's for all professionals. And I believe that every single professional has the power to turn these workplaces more diverse, more inclusive. We just need to stop and think a bit about it. And by bringing these conversations, maybe those that are listening can say, oh, I have a colleague that actually is from a different nationality. And sometimes my comments are actually quite aggressive, and I don't even stop to think that I have people that are from different nationalities. So maybe I can tone a bit my speech, right? It can help it brings reflection in a different way because it's in the lived experiences of the guests. And sometimes when we hear how other people feel, we tend to understand that sometimes we also contribute for the way that they feel, whether it's positive or negative.
And through the podcast, you can reach people that wouldn't have access to this conversation or to these topics outside the workplace or outside the academia. So it really makes an impact or give access to a lot of people to have access to these conversations, right?
That's for sure. That's why I always ask the guests to explain what they do. Because, for instance, I didn't know what the human resources area could do. I didn't know that it could do so much in human resources. And I came to get that knowledge later in life. But if I had a podcast like this with professionals from different areas or industries telling about what they could do, maybe I could have reached this point earlier. So I think also it's important to hear professionals telling in a more relaxed way what they do, because we are here, but the same way that older generations have a responsibility with us, we also have with the ones that are coming. And I believe that this is a way also of giving them something.
Do you have someone or community that inspires you or that gives you strength or a north direction?
That's a good question. That's a good
or
one.
There can be some names, like people that are an inspiration for you, for your work.
I think so. Yeah, I'm always listening to lots of podcasts, hearing lots of people talking, and for sure I have my favorite ones or the ones that I think that are really good. For instance, I listen a lot the podcast of Jay Shetty. He's an Indian man with background from India, living in the US, and the way he talks, I like a lot. The way that he interviews, I also like a lot. But of course, if I have to be honest, Oprah is just like, wow. That woman, when she talks and when she asks questions, I'm always like, wow. And the type of questions and the way that she can go deeper and understand better or give us a better understanding of the guest is just brilliant. I like humor a lot. So for instance, lately I've been hearing the Trevor Noah podcast. I love him a lot. So he can bring different type of topics, politics, identity, all mixed out with humor, and it's great.
Makes it lighter to listen to.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I'm working and I'm just like, I'm just like laughing because I'm listening to it. The Diary of CEO, I also listen to it and I'm just like, wow, he can actually go through the topics in such a beautiful way. And the guests all of these podcasters, the guests and the topics that they bring always help me to navigate my daily day in a way.
What is inspiring you today? Or is there some sort of content and a book that you are reading that is really resonating with you at this point in life?
Yeah, that is one book that, again, that I like to reflect a lot about society, to try to understand better the society. And that is one book that is Cast from Isabel Wilkerson. I don't know how to say her name very well. She is also a journalist. Mm-hmm. She is Afro-American. And she wrote this book that helps us to understand societies, not only America, but she makes a comparison between America, then Germany, and then India, and tries to see how the discrimination is in all these countries. And it's quite linked. So the way that she goes through society, the way that societies have worked throughout the time, it's quite fascinating. So it helps my mind to go through all places, to connect the dots, and I'm just like, wow. And also brings more compassion in a way, I believe, because it's just like, it's not just against one group. It's like it gives me the impression that human beings try always to put themselves in groups and finding that their group is better than the other, and kind of takes you out of the situation itself and makes you look at things in a broader perspective.
Yeah, but also tells a lot about the power of communities, right? And I observed that in each episode of your podcast, you start welcome, community. You're building your community or welcoming the community to the podcast. What the community represents to you and to your projects?
I think community helps you make the difference. And why am I saying that? Once you have a community, at least in my eyes, you feel that you're not alone. Regardless of the spectrum of your life that you are going through, if you have a community, it's kind of like you have a cover that it's just like protecting you from rain, protecting you from cold, protecting you from all the challenges that life puts you through. You have a community, you have a safe space to go throughout at the end of the day and say, I need your help to recharge my batteries, whether it's to give me some more boost of confidence, whether it's to give me a boost of love, whether it's to give me a boost of guidance, knowledge, just like to help me then go through the world being myself, but knowing that someone has my back. That's the way I see community.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And Sofia, what was the first episode with Ayana about? You forgot to mention to us.
You're right, and thank you for asking. So she told a lot about her journey as a Black woman in the workplace, and she told about how she actually empowered other women to find some visibility in the workplace and how other women empowered her. So basically it was this thing of just like when she started, how she started, but how the power of community, we were talking about this, how powerful her community was for her success, and how then she decided to replicate this type of actions through other women. So for me, it was really inspiring hearing, okay, she did it, but always keeping her eyes like, who is next? Who can I help? And that for me was very, very inspiring.
And for you, what is next? What is next in this project? What is next professionally?
I would like to actually diversify more the podcast, be able to produce also content for myself, allow people to hear my views on diversity and inclusion. But that's the thing. I speak more in a way of just like how the workplace is helping me to deconstruct, because I talk about bias, other people's biases, but I also have my own. And throughout these experiences, dealing with candidates, managers, building the podcast as well, this also kind of like tests me a lot as a person, and also being able to share a bit more of this, linking also with diversity and inclusion. I think that's if you ask me today's goal, I would say that that's the goal.
Yeah, great. Okay, and to close this off, Sofia, I will steal one of the questions that you usually ask to the people who are guests in your podcast. What is one truth about the workplace that nobody told you before you started working?
That's a good one. It's a good one because I was very naive, to be quite honest, and I thought that everything would be perfect. But the thing that no one told me is that the workplace will teach me not only about the area that I'm working, but also about myself. And that it will be a place of continued growth, but personal growth as well. So all the challenges that I will encounter, I just should see it what is this challenge is teaching me? How can I improve as a person as well? I think this is what no one told me. And if they did, maybe things could have been different.
Sofia, should I say thank you? Thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure interviewing you, getting to know you even better, like as a friend. I know you already. Your work is incredible. Keep doing it. Keep with this trend. It was a pleasure joining you today here.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting the challenge, for making me feel so comfortable, because it's not easy to be in this side. and also for the way that you helped me also to reflect a bit better about the podcast, about my journey, about myself, and also for the space. I'm recording at Nicolas' house, and also we have here someone very special that is Lou, that has been our director, and say hi to. Thank you for also for the tips, for everything.
Thank you for the directing opportunity. I enjoyed it.
This was really fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sofia, and wishing you very much success in your projects.
And for you, please check Circular Talent. It's definitely a podcast to listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Color at Work, edited by Augusto Picinini. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share, subscribe, rate, and comment. Until the next episodes.